In this chapter Mash prepares himself for Wimbledon, as he practices his serve with some help from Carpaccio's goddess statue. This chapter starts off where the previous chapter ended, with the statue forming cracks all over but not being fully broken as I initially believed in the previous chapter. Carpaccio is understandingly alarmed by the fact Mash's body could do so much damage to what he considered to be an indestructible object of divine power. However, he is far from being done as he begins to laugh in what I would describe as being a sort of gleeful insanity as he recognizes that this fight is not over yet, as this might be the first time the statue has ever received a crack, at least to his knowledge, but he is also somehow aware that it will react by becoming more defense in response. Makes me question if perhaps the wand grants its user some sort of innate knowledge about what the wand's blessing is capable of. Also, Carpaccio has yet to use his actual own personal magic, if he even possesses one, given how he seems to rely solely on the blessing he gains from the wands to defeat his enemies. That would be an interesting point about the possessors of these wands. They might never have been able to or had any need to develop their own magic, making them potentially less adaptable but also more powerful than the regular mage. Mash is taken by surprise when he sees the statue transform into a more demonic form, where it begins throwing giant syringes bigger than Mash's body at him. I wonder if they have any additional powers beyond just being big pointy needles. I can't tell if there is any sort of fluid within those syringes, but it would be interesting if they did have an additional effect, not that I'd be able to tell what that would be given the circumstances. Meanwhile, Carpaccio continues to stab himself with his knife, transferring the damage over to Mash, while telling himself that his death will not be quick because he must honor the fact that in a world where everything is a haze to him, someone so strong exists. We then get to see Mash dodging the needles from presumable Carpaccio's perspective, which is just as he says, hazy. I wonder if this is an actual condition he has or if it is just a cool artistic choice. If it is a condition of Carpaccio, then that is interesting. I wonder if it is caused by his wand's blessing, his own distorted perception of values of an individual's life, brought on by his powers. With blood bursting from his wounds, Mash finally draws his iron wand, much to Carpaccio's confusion before to the shock of the entire crowd. Mash manages to sculpt the iron with nothing but his bare hands into the form of a tennis racket, before he proceeds to throw what looks like a bundle-up mass of cloth into the air and spike it full force at the goddess statue, with the cloth sphere bounding off and flying right back, to which Mash responds in turn back, returning the serve with such force the iron mesh of the racket actually bends. Interestingly, the wand seems to be capable of increasing its size and the amount of mass it possesses, as it was able to increase significantly in size while Mash was shaping it, so there is still a chance that Mash's wand is in fact special in its own way. Everyone from the crown to Carpaccio and Finn are left in shock and can only watch on as Mash dodges the syringes, while at the same time launching repeating shots at the cracks in the statue, causing it to crumble away, resulting in everyone concluding he is playing wall rally with a nurse. One person wisely conclude just how much of a monster Mash is, with a simple yipes while sweating his ass off. Funny thing, I just realized despite being a world of magic, they still practice mundane sports like tennis, which is just amusing to me. Carpaccio's calm expression begins to crack just as the statue begins to crumble, questioning how such a thing was even possible as the statue now completely shatters into pieces, crumbling all around him, but he doesn't look sad, angry or even upset, rather he seems to be in a state of complete shock. Mash calls out to him, drawing his attention, questioning if he wants to know what pain feels like. Not giving him time to respond, he declares that he will help. Carpaccio, for the first time, sees Mash, not as a blur but as a fully formed person, as we see Mash's reflection in his eye right before Mash brings down the iron racket on his head using both hands, causing blood to erupt from his head as his eyes turn white before collapsing. Finn admits that was been a bit extreme before he attempts to apologize to Mash, only for Mash to cut him off by instead thanking him, telling him that he knows he is a klutz and that he causes everyone trouble. But even so, it is because of Finn that he can stay together with everyone. Finn, still clutching the crystal in his hand, stares at Mash with the look of someone who just can't believe what he is hearing, but he accepts it anyway, because he knows that's just how Mash is, so he ends out the chapter with a simple "You're welcome." So that is the end of Carpaccio, or so it seems for now. He will probably be removed from the tournament from this point on, but I do not think this will be the last we see of him, given that he possesses one of the master canes which are certain to be an important part of the world's law, given how they were apparently from gods or something like that. So, while he may go away for a while, I can see him becoming a sort of reoccurring character always seeking to fight Mash. But that is the end of this chapter review.